is not within his mandate, something that is not constitutional, and something which the Uganda Law Society should help us. And sue this man who thinks that he's above the law, even when his father is around. Who is an equivalent of a judge? Then the junta gave us a real judge. A real judge. The results, this is the worst performing judge, the judge of the worst performance should go to the Guinness Books of Record, because he's a judge whose results can never be a reflection of the will of the people, but the will of the powerful in government. Unfortunately, he's unrepentant. Number 10, observation, is the loss of confidence and loss of interests in the constitutional order under the NRM regime, which has been here ruining constitutionalism and causing inertia and a sense of general resignedness. I didn't follow up so much about the Uganda Law Society until the radical new bar came. I was so worried that the land friends who are, they are privileged to have privileged information, just like we do in the medical profession. We call ourselves a noble profession. And you, lawyers, also are a noble profession. But because you engage with the human being and you get privileged information, you are like us. So we respect you, and I believe you respect us also in the noble profession of medicine. But I was getting afraid that we are losing it, because the matters of the law and the judiciary was descending into the abyss, until the Uganda Law Society decided to bring the radical new bar. I'm not a lawyer, but I felt there was some oxygen which was brought in to resuscitate the judiciary. And I am not disappointed. You people are performing. Uganda is looking up to you with your exiled president to ensure that the judiciary delivers. And who knew that I would be here at the Uganda Law Society? This is the first time we have this engagement. And I believe that with the radical new bar, we shall have more and more engagements. The land friends would be invited to the People's Front for Freedom, not only to advise us, not only to participate in political activities that we do, but also to build the Uganda that can work for all of us, including, but not limited to, political participation, so that you can be in position to take up our tickets, because we share the values. You can become leaders of the positions of your choices, because we have a lot to offer. We have a lot to offer in terms of political jobs, because we have less candidates than we need. And we need lawyers amidst us, not only to advise us and also to participate in the political issues that we do, but also to be leaders in their own respect and to be leaders within this country. And the PFF would be delighted to fraternize with the ULS to carry out these political projects. We have many of you in our midst, and they have done us proud. One of such is Elias Lukwago, our president. I can see you have got a lot of legal mandate, including the protection of the public. And I am so delighted that this was displayed just early this morning, that members of the public are here and are testifying how the Uganda Law Society came to their rescue. Thank you very much for that. Protection of the lawyers, including our very one. We are so proud that Uganda Law Society came out very, very vehemently to condemn the acts, the EU acts orchestrated by the CDF against our president, Elias Lukwago. And this has escalated into the East African Law Society, Kenya Law Society. I have seen African Law Society coming on board because Uganda Law Society spoke. We are so grateful for that. The promotion of the rule of law and human rights is one of the mandates and in your dockets. And I can see Uganda Law Society is doing it. But today, we are supposed to look at the contemporary times and to discuss constitutionalism in the contemporary times. As a medical doctor, I have no mandate to discuss, to describe, or to define constitutionalism, because the lawyers here can do it best. But I will use my definition as a citizen of Uganda, so that you can know how colloquial definitions are developed. I think when we are talking about constitutionalism, we are talking about believing in a set of rules, set of laws, or in the supreme law. You believe in it and then you practice it, so that whatever undertaking you do is limited by the laws established within the Constitution. And it is one thing, therefore, to have a constitution that, like we have in Uganda, we have a constitution which was made in 1995, but it's another thing to believe in it and to practice it. Those in leadership, those in governance, led the process of making a constitution which they don't believe in. President Museveni, his son, the CDF, do not believe that there is a constitution of Uganda. They just believe in themselves. If at all they want you to believe that they believe in the Constitution, they will simply have the courtesy of going to Parliament and seeking that Parliament changes according to what favors them. I don't know if at all there will be a new definition of constitutionalism, because somebody will tell you, yes, we amended the supreme law to allow us to do our will. Would that be constitutionalism, therefore? I do not think so. And the Uganda Law Society must lead us into this, to describe the number of times President Museveni and his government have changed the Constitution simply to suit their will and to continue to propound what they want. They have changed it a number of times simply because they want their will to be done. That is if at all they have the courtesy to be believed that they believe that there are certain limitations that you must undertake in order to do governance in the ambit of the supreme law. But many times they will do it without even needing to change the Constitution. Recently we were reading about how the CDF was firing people in the immigration generals, something that is not within his mandate, something that is not constitutional, and something which the Uganda Law Society should help us and sue this man who thinks that he's above the law even when his father is around. I want to describe about 9 observations of the changing times, within which we must define constitutionalism, and then we can see whether we have a way forward in upholding constitutionalism in our country. The first observation is that Uganda made the constitution in 1995 that has been changed severally to suit the president's will. The second observation is that we have a president who has ruled us for 40 years and pursues a life president project with family rule as a sub-project. Number three, we have a son of a president who happens to be the chief of defense forces that behaves like he's above the law and operates a political party within his father's ruling party and undertakes executive orders and also conscripts government ministers, including the speakers of parliament within that political party, which is unconstitutional and it is well known to his knowledge, which is unlawful and is well known, but he proceeds as if nothing has happened, and the country simply looks on. Number four, we observe a population that is desirous of an administration that believes in constitutionalism and behaves so. That is the population that we have. The population believes that there should be a constitution and there should be administrators within this country who should believe and also be led by that constitution. Those are the aspirations of our people. Number five, we have an unpopular regime that thrives and survives on the vote theft, political and the economic coercion, bribery, to limp on. Number six, we have a global political environment that is concerned largely with economic interests and unwilling to intervene in what they call country-specific internal affairs. These are changed times. In the early 90s, in the 80s and early 90s, the global world would come, the global political world would come and intervene in any country where human rights are being trampled upon. Today, it is none of their business, it is economic interests. And the people will suffer under the yoke of dictatorships in their own countries when the world is looking on. It is a changed world. How can you uphold constitutionalism under those circumstances? And who are you going to cry to? Number seven, we have a militarized political system where all institutions are militarized, public and private alike. Everything is being held in captivity. Parliament, the executive, the judiciary, including private institutions. Talk about the churches, the cultural institutions, and so on. Militarized. You'll find a soldier somewhere who will be in position to intimidate you, either to provide security or to undertake an insecurity project on you. The bottom line is you must accept that there must be a giver of security or insecurity who reigns for 40 years and would like to continue with the life project. That is what we have. We have, number 8, a militarized judiciary whose conduct reflects the will of the president other than the law established and the constitution. These ones we cannot teach you. These are observations of lay people who didn't study the law, but see the law being trampled upon, including the constitution, which we would wish to uphold. And the vanguard of holding this constitution should be the Uganda Law Society, who we respect so much. Number 9 is the electoral system headed by a judge. Electoral system headed by a judge. A judge. A judge. Actually, we had wanted somebody with an equivalent, who is an equivalent of a judge. Then the junta gave us a real judge. A real judge. The results, this is the worst performing judge, the judge of the worst performance should go to the Guinness Books of Record, because he's a judge whose results can never be a reflection of the will of the people, but the will of the powerful in government. Unfortunately, he's unrepentant. Number 10, observation, is the loss of confidence and loss of interests in the constitutional order under the NRM regime, which has been here ruining constitutionalism and causing inertia and a sense of general resignedness. When we were studying physics, Newton's first law of motion, the body continues in its state of rest or active motion until it is acted upon by another body. The law of inertia. So you can either sit, occupy your potential energy until another body acts on you. Okay? That's Newton's law. The population is now inert. It is occupying potential energy. It is tired. It is resigned. Everybody is now looking to God to intervene. People have spoken, and the brain is saturated with all the speeches that everybody has ever made. We no longer want to listen. Kabakole bibagala Katonda yalikola ki? Kasita Katonda abalabe emisana n'ekiro. That is a state of resignedness that is undesirable in any country. This state of resignedness is the state in which you will see active citizens who are not drunk. They are normal, visibly normal, but they watch somebody being victimized, clobbered even to death, and people continue with their business as if nothing is happening. That is resignedness. I think it is also a state of, it's a state of, in Uganda we say tebinkwatako, but it is a state of confusion too. It doesn't matter how you look. You'll be dressed like Mr. Sekanjako, very smart. I think here you are the smartest. Please stand up for your recognition. You look at this gentleman. Boda will encircle him, start beating him, calling him names, thief, and people will continue. They will even contribute matchboxes, even paraffin, to burn him, only to realize later that they have committed crimes against even themselves. What is happening in Uganda? And these things can continue even to happen. By the way, they may pursue the people who victimize others the way they pursued this fellow, the rugby fellow who was killed. But we are quick to react, and we are quick in forgetting. This is the state in which we see ourselves. Who cares about what is going to happen to Anyum, who was convicted recently? It is over now. Who is going to make a follow-up about that one? Who is going to make a follow-up about this, the rugby player who was killed recently? Yes, I hear they are arresting certain people. I hear they are going to prosecute them. Who is going to make a follow-up about the justice of a man who was killed innocently? This is the state Uganda lives in. Who, if at all that happens, and it can happen to anybody, who cares about these politicians that are being molested in this country, left, right, and center? Where the country defines politicians are people who are seeking their own ends. Bebamu, they are all the same. The people condemn even the voices that advocate for their rights. This is the state in which we are. That is the state that had visited the Uganda Law Society before the radical Nuba came. And this is the state we must turn around with immediate effect. Inertia is what is bedeviling us, and we must turn it around. You realized it in your own society, and you changed it. We are realizing it in the polity of Uganda. We must change it. Even the Catholic Church realized that we are going into inertia. I happen to be a Catholic. They brought the Catholic charismatic. The Muslim community, the radical, what are they called? The Tabligh. When Muslims were becoming sleepy, they were visiting us in bars. Then there was a radical new Salaf. They came on to and then restamped the authority of Islam. So whenever we have slacking of normalcy, there is usually an emergency of a new system that can put order back to normal. And we need to put our country back to normal. It was about banging table in the Uganda Law Society. Today it should be about overturning the tables and say the party is over. Let us go back to the line and pick new eats and come back to the table. It is dirty now. If there are no people who are going to speak to this, some people must rise up. It doesn't matter how many you're going to be. Some people must rise up. At least I have risen up. Salam Musumba has risen up. Doreen has risen up. Kennedy has risen up. We are inviting you to rise up. This is not only legal but also political. Don't hide your heads in things legal alone. These are political undertakings of a life project at the helm of Uganda, a life project which is bringing the son and even the grandson to come. People are talking about Bachwezi all the time. We are looking at people talking about Bachwezi. Those people who are talking about Bachwezi don't respect the Constitution. Don't talk about the Constitution in these four-walled rooms and think this is going to redeem our country. We must stand up and speak out if at all we are going to uphold the Constitution of Uganda and constitutionalism. Is there anything left? No, there is nothing that is left about constitutionalism. Those who are at the helm of the leadership of this country do not like constitutionalism. Their sons don't like constitutionalism. Even their grandsons who want to become leaders of this country will not respect constitutionalism. It is us who desire to be led under the Constitution, to be limited by the Constitution, to have the rule of law in our immediate when we are conducting business. It is us who own this country, and it is us who have been led for the last 40 years. It is us who must conduct business. It can't be business as usual. It can't be within the legal confines of the courts of law. It is going to involve the public. All of us must be engaged, the legal profession, the profession of the media, to ensure that we turn around what has gone wrong and we say so. I see no other option. For those of you who want to become politicians, we are inviting you. I was never a politician. I am a surgeon. And I have Kampala International Medical Center where I go. I deliver women. I have delivered thousands of women. Whoever is pregnant, I am your midwife. I was never a politician, but I said, for nobody is born a politician. When things go wrong, everybody is going to be blamed. And I am asking you, and I am imploring to you that everybody must stand up. Second, Yakoyisia is a very good lawyer, but you see the Lord Mayor where he is. He's a good lawyer too. He could earn from his legal firms and so on. You can think that you are going to practice law. Under these circumstances, what kind of law are you practicing? We know very well that a judge can ask for money, and I give him money, and I make my own judgment, and he reads it. Is that the law that you studied? Is that the justice that you want? But these are the things which are persisting. You will not be proud to have a profession in which those things are happening. How can you be proud of a profession whereby a judge is going to get a telephone call from powers from above? Who is going to speak to you, for you? Yes, you may benefit from it, dear lawyer, because the kind of a situation in which we are, you can even benefit out of it. After all, your arguments no longer matter. But you went to study the law so that you can make arguments and make your client win. But you win simply because you have paid the judge. What kind of system can that be? If at all we sacrifice these values whereby people can sell justice, then what are we left with? Those who are benefiting out of it, yes, will cry out. They will not be happy with you. But those who are radical, who think that things must return to normal, you have very many supporters in Uganda, and we shall be with you in everything that you do to make Uganda a better country. For all of us. It happens. Constitutionalism is not going to take root unless we speak out. It's done. They don't like it. They are defined as the Constitution. They are the principles. And they want it so. And as long as it's necessary for them. Upholding constitutionalism under this kind of environment is impossible. It would have been possible if at all a man grows to 82 years, maybe 90, I don't care. And then one time he says, you people, I have been a dictator for all this time. You have been electing me, elective dictatorship, it's okay. Now that I am going, you do your will. But there is a standby generator. The standby generator is worse. Is even worse. So what are we going to do? We must act in time, because a stitch in time saves 9. A stitch in time saves 9. This wake-up call, in which the radical new bar invites members in the political fraternity to put our act together, must be strengthened. It must be strengthened, and the campaign must be ignited, and we must work very rapidly as if we have never worked before. We shall visit the courts, but we also want you to visit the fields. If it means demonstration because people can't listen, let us demonstrate together. If at all there is what did you call it? Order, marching orders. Let the marching orders affect also the medical profession. I'm one of them. And we shall march together. If at all, that is how they will listen. In Uganda we have a word, nampulira zibi. Somebody who has ears but pretends not to be hearing what you are saying. The nampulira zibis, the way they listen is through actions. That is why Ugandans have opted to march to the streets always, to shout out in order to be heard. Those of you who want to uphold constitutionalism, you're not going to uphold it by merely going for legal activism in the court of law. You'll find these fellows, cadre judges, they'll frustrate you until you get out of the legal profession. Let us shout at them. Let us shout at them. May God bless you. Thank you very much.